Sister wives bombshell. Aurora calls police on Kody Brown over $1 million embezzlement claims. Hello friends, I am Elena. Welcome to my channel. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. In a shocking and unexpected turn of events, Sister Wives has once again found itself at the center of controversy, this time involving legal trouble, deep family betrayal, and staggering financial accusations. According to multiple insiders close to the family, Aurora Brown, daughter of Robin Brown and stepdaughter of Kody Brown, has allegedly taken the dramatic step of contacting authorities regarding financial misconduct, claiming that Kody embezzled over $1 million from family resources. According to an anonymous source familiar with the ongoing family tensions, Aurora became suspicious months ago after noticing irregularities in financial statements tied to various family ventures. These ventures, some related to TLC earnings and others from side businesses, were believed to be managed or overseen, at least in part, by Kody Brown himself. Aurora's been quietly asking questions for a while, the source said. She saw money disappearing, and when she tried to get answers, she was stonewalled. That's when she began keeping records, screenshots, even voice memos. Allegedly, Aurora first tried to raise her concerns within the family. She approached her mother Robin, expecting support, but to her dismay, Robin was reportedly defensive and dismissive. Rather than helping Aurora investigate further, she warned her daughter not to stir up trouble within the already fractured family. She didn't feel heard, another source added. She loves her mom, but Aurora realized this was bigger than anyone wanted to admit. She's fiercely independent, and when the money trail didn't make sense, she went outside the family. After several weeks of independent tracking, Aurora reportedly reached out to authorities to report what she described as suspicious financial behavior. She accused Kody of using family funds, money earned through the TLC show, book deals, and online revenue, for personal and unauthorized expenses. The alleged amount? Over $1 million in untraceable or undocumented expenditures. Law enforcement officials have neither confirmed nor denied the report at this time, but multiple outlets suggest a financial investigation may already be underway behind the scenes. Kody has yet to make any public statement addressing the allegations, but insiders say he is furious and feels betrayed by Aurora. Kody sees this as a personal attack, the insider explained. He thinks Aurora's been influenced by outsiders or even other wives. He's paranoid right now, completely unhinged behind the scenes. Some, like Christine and Janelle, have reportedly offered quiet support for Aurora. They've long suspected Kody was mishandling money, one source noted. They just never had the proof, and Aurora might finally be the one to bring it to light. Others are siding with Kody, including a heartbroken Robin, who now finds herself caught between loyalty to her husband and her daughter's fight for the truth. Robin is in complete denial, a family friend shared. She's torn, but deep down she knows there's some truth to this. She just can't admit it yet, not to herself and definitely not publicly. The Sister Wives fanbase has exploded with reactions across social media, with many praising Aurora's courage while others question whether the entire family structure is crumbling beyond repair. This isn't just drama, it's criminal now, one longtime fan posted on Reddit. If Kody's been using family money to fund his own lifestyle, that's theft. Period. Others see this as a long overdue reckoning. For years, we've watched Kody manipulate the family emotionally and financially. Maybe now, someone's finally holding him accountable. The ripple effects are being felt far and wide. TLC, the network behind Sister Wives, has remained silent on the matter, but rumors suggest that executives are in crisis mode. With a new season reportedly in production, the network now faces a moral and legal dilemma. Continue filming a family under investigation or pause the show until the situation is resolved. This could derail everything, an entertainment insider claimed. You're not just dealing with family drama anymore, this could become a full-blown legal scandal. Even more troubling is the internal breakdown now tearing at the Brown household. Aurora, once seen as quiet and reserved, has now emerged as the unlikely whistleblower. Some sources say she feels isolated, especially from her mother, who is reportedly struggling with the fallout. She's devastated, the source said of Robin. This is her daughter, but also her husband. She's losing grip on both. Kody, on the other hand, appears to be doubling down on his denial. Insiders report he has begun gathering his own legal team and plans to fight back if charges or public allegations are brought forward. He's not going down without a fight, one source warned. He's ready to blame anyone, Aurora, the ex-wives, even the production team. He refuses to admit he did anything wrong. As of now, no formal charges have been filed, and Aurora has not made any public comment. But her actions speak volumes, and insiders say this is only the beginning of a much bigger storm. Whether Kody Brown truly mishandled over $1 million or whether this is a family feud that spiraled out of control, one thing is clear. The once close-knit polygamist family seen on Sister Wives may never be the same again. In a surprising turn of events, one of the most talked-about stars from Sister Wives has taken a bold leap, leaving behind the comforts of America and setting out for an adventure that fans never saw coming. It's not just a vacation. It's a complete lifestyle shift, a reinvention of identity, and a powerful step forward in self-discovery. This journey marks the beginning of a brand new chapter, one that's already producing results, growth, and milestones few imagined. Today, we're breaking down exactly what happened, why they left, and the incredible achievement they've already unlocked on the other side of the world. It started quietly, with hints on social media. Followers noticed a gradual change in tone, a more adventurous vibe, less mention of family drama, and more talk about freedom, purpose, and dreams. Then came the announcement. A Sister Wives star had made the decision to leave the United States indefinitely. The destination? Europe. While fans speculated everything from a documentary series to personal healing, the truth was much simpler and much more powerful. This wasn't an escape. It was a mission. Leaving America wasn't an impulsive decision. It had been brewing for a long time. Constant pressure of being watched, the endless questions about family dynamics, and the burden of living life under a microscope all played a role. What pushed it over the edge, however, was the realization that staying meant remaining in a cycle of pain, doubt, and codependency. The star began the process of research, applying for visas, securing accommodations, and planning a life abroad, independent of the Brown family, TLC cameras, and public assumptions. It was a move no one thought they'd be brave enough to make. And yet they did it, with quiet determination. Their destination? Portugal. Country known for its natural beauty, kind people, rich history, and deep spiritual energy. They chose a small coastal town, away from big cities, where life is slower, simpler, and more connected to nature. From day one, the energy shifted. Gone were the chaotic family meetings. Gone were the expectations to conform. In their place, early morning walks along the cliffs, journaling by the ocean, spontaneous connections with locals, and the rediscovery of passions long buried beneath reality TV stress. But this wasn't just about mental wellness. There was a goal in mind, something personal, something big. The star had always dreamed of writing a book, sharing their story in their own words, without editing, without producers, without distortion. And now, for the first time ever, that dream was given space to grow. Every morning began with writing. Raw. Honest. Real. The pages poured out like therapy, decades of silence transformed into strength. And within 3 months, the manuscript was finished. Yes, you heard that right. In just 90 days, the Sister Wives star completed their very first full-length memoir, a project they had been too afraid to start in America. But here, with space to breathe and live authentically, the words came naturally. The memoir, tentatively titled Unscripted, My Life Beyond the Wives, isn't just a tell-all. It's a deep reflection on identity, autonomy, womanhood, religious trauma, and the fight for personal liberation. Early readers who were trusted with sample chapters described it as raw, powerful, and unexpectedly poetic. The milestone didn't stop there. Upon completion, the star submitted the manuscript to a major European publisher, and within weeks, the offer came through. A real publishing deal. Physical book. A global release. All of it now in motion. This isn't just a personal win. This is history. No Sister Wives cast member has ever released a solo memoir of this caliber, especially one written and published outside the influence of TLC. Social media, which had gone mostly quiet during the transition, suddenly came alive. The star posted a photo of the sunrise from their balcony, holding a printed draft of their book. The caption read simply, "I left to find myself and I found more than I ever imagined." Fans flooded the comments with messages of pride and support. Even critics were silenced by the sheer boldness of the move. Here was someone who had been doubted, controlled, and judged for years, now thriving on their own terms. And that's not all. Since moving, the Sister Wives star has learned basic Portuguese, joined a local women's circle, and even started leading wellness workshops online. The theme? Freedom after control. Participants come from around the world, many of them inspired by her journey, eager to hear firsthand how she broke free from religious limitations, public scrutiny, and the confines of polygamy. The response has been overwhelming. This new chapter isn't about proving anything to Kody Brown, Robin, or the other wives. It's not about revenge. It's about rising. Quietly. Authentically. Beautifully. The milestone of completing and publishing a memoir, launching a digital workshop series, and living in another country is more than a personal success. It's a message. To all women watching. To anyone who's felt trapped. That it is never too late to start over. It is never too late to become who you were meant to be. She's already planning a second book, this time a guided journal for women healing from toxic faith systems. There are also whispers of a podcast and even a retreat in Portugal next summer for international guests. From sister wives to self-liberated storyteller, this journey is more than just bold, it's inspiring. A true reinvention. A life. Kody Brown has never been one to shy away from the spotlight, but his latest confession has left fans of Sister Wives absolutely groaning in disbelief. Known for his dramatic personality and controversial decisions, Kody's words this time struck a particularly awkward chord, one that is hard for fans to ignore, let alone forget. In a recent interview, Kody shared a deeply personal anecdote that he clearly thought would paint him in a sympathetic light. Instead, it did the exact opposite. With no hint of irony, he opened up about what he believed was the key to his failed relationships with his other wives. He claimed he was simply too romantic. The statement left many jaws on the floor, with longtime fans of the TLC series taking to social media to mock what they saw as a tone-deaf, self-aggrandizing statement. For a man who has repeatedly been accused of emotional neglect, favoritism, and gaslighting by not just fans but by his former wives themselves, this confession came across as cringy at best and delusional at worst. According to Kody, his passion and emotional depth became too much for his partners. "I just wanted to be close, to connect, to love deeply," he said. But maybe not everyone can handle that kind of intensity. Needless to say, the internet responded in unison, not with agreement but with loud collective eye rolls. Social media platforms exploded with memes, GIFs, and videos mocking Kody's so-called romantic nature. Twitter threads began popping up, detailing Kody's past on-screen behavior that stood in stark contrast to his current narrative. One popular post read, "Kody calling himself too romantic is like a cactus calling itself a cuddle toy." This isn't the first time Kody's public commentary has landed him in hot water, but this particular confession has reignited frustrations among fans who have followed Sister Wives for over a decade. Many viewers pointed out how his behavior with his first three wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, rarely ever resembled the kind of emotionally invested, passionate partner he now claims to be. Fans recounted his dismissive responses during key moments, including serious conversations about emotional needs, mental health, and mutual respect. Even more bewildering was the timing of the confession. With the show's most recent season shedding light on the slow unraveling of his relationships, particularly the painful exit of Christine and the emotional detachment between him and Janelle, Kody's sudden self-reflection felt less like growth and more like an attempt to spin his narrative. In the same interview, he bizarrely suggested that his wives may have misunderstood his love, further distancing himself from any accountability. "I gave them everything, a house, kids, loyalty," he stated, "but they just couldn't see the real me." This quote in particular drew harsh criticism. Fans argued that love is not measured by material provisions but by empathy, presence, and equality, all of which seem to be lacking in many of Kody's interactions on the show. Christine herself has publicly acknowledged how unseen and unloved she felt during her marriage to Kody. Her decision to walk away resonated with fans and cast a harsh spotlight on Kody's emotionally lopsided polygamous arrangement. The most cringe-worthy part of Kody's confession, however, may have been when he directly compared himself to romantic heroes from literature and film. "I'm like Mr. Darcy," he said with a laugh. Misunderstood, brooding, but with a heart full of love. That single line immediately became the subject of mockery across Reddit threads and Facebook fan groups. Fans pointed out the massive difference between Mr. Darcy's growth and emotional intelligence versus Kody's ongoing cycle of blame-shifting and emotional neglect. This entire spectacle has further eroded Kody's already fragile public image. Viewers have watched him evolve from a quirky but seemingly well-intentioned patriarch to a man whose defensiveness and selective self-awareness continue to dominate his storyline. His attempts at damage control, rather than healing the rift, have only widened the emotional gap between him and the audience. Some fans speculate that Kody's confession may have been a calculated move to soften his image before the next season drops. With Sister Wives maintaining its cultural relevance through dramatic turns and personal revelations, Kody could be trying to rebrand himself as a misunderstood lover rather than the emotionally aloof husband he has often been portrayed as. But if that was his goal, it appears to have backfired. Confession has only amplified criticism, with viewers accusing him of lacking sincerity and self-awareness. Others argue that this behavior is simply consistent with who Kody has always been. Over the years, he has displayed a consistent pattern of reframing reality to fit his own narrative, whether it be shifting blame for failed relationships, exaggerating his emotional efforts, or portraying himself as the misunderstood victim. This recent confession is just another entry in a long list of baffling, awkward moments that have become synonymous with his personality. Meanwhile, his remaining wife Robin, who has often been described as the favorite, has remained publicly silent about Kody's statement. Some viewers speculate that even she may be growing tired of the narrative control Kody continues to exert in public. Their once seemingly united front now appears shaky, especially as fans begin to question whether Robin is also beginning to see through the cracks in Kody's self-image. In the end, Kody Brown's confession was meant to highlight his emotional depth and dedication to love, but instead it turned into a punchline. Fans aren't buying the hopeless romantic act, especially when years of footage and testimony from his ex-wives tell a different story entirely. Rather than appearing vulnerable or insightful, Kody's statement has only confirmed what many fans already believed, that he's still not ready to take real responsibility for the collapse of his family. Kody wants to win back the respect of his fans, or even salvage what remains of his personal relationships. He may need to trade in the romantic hero act for a genuine moment of accountability. Till then, For years, fans of Sister Wives watched Robin Brown present herself as the peacemaker, the emotional glue, and the most devoted wife among Kody Brown's plural family. She often appeared soft-spoken, tearful, and committed to unity. But after more than a decade in the spotlight, cracks have finally begun to show in her carefully curated persona. Robin Brown has now revealed her true nature, and viewers aren't surprised, just finally vindicated. When Robin joined the Brown family in 2010 as Kody's fourth wife, she painted herself as someone simply seeking love and a spiritual family. She said she respected polygamy and embraced the idea of sisterhood with the other wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine. She promised she wasn't trying to replace anyone or take center stage. But over time, her words and actions began to diverge. Robin's true nature began revealing itself subtly. Fans noticed how Kody's time became increasingly centered around her. While the other wives struggled to get equal attention, Robin and her children became his default home base. She insisted she wasn't favored, yet the evidence said otherwise. She was the only wife who had consistent access to Kody during the COVID-19 pandemic, citing health concerns, but to many it looked like she used the pandemic to isolate him from the others. Kody supported her rigid rules and defended her decisions, even when they hurt his relationships with his other wives and children. For years, Robyn stayed quiet as the other relationships around her collapsed. Christine left. Janelle became distant. Mary was emotionally abandoned. Yet Robyn continued to play the victim, crying frequently on camera, saying she didn't sign up for this, and that she missed the closeness of the family. But she rarely took accountability for the part she played in the breakdown of relationships. Fans started to question whether Robyn was truly the empathetic figure she claimed to be, or whether she was a skilled manipulator who thrived as the favored wife in a broken system. Then, in recent interviews and episodes, Robyn dropped the mask altogether. No longer hiding behind the "I just want peace" narrative, she began speaking bluntly and sometimes condescendingly about her sister wives. She blamed them for the collapse of the family, claiming they didn't put in the work like she did. She said Christine gave up too quickly. She said Janelle was too independent. She said Mary didn't fight hard enough for Kody. What struck fans was how much Robyn's words contradicted her longtime image as a compassionate and selfless woman. She openly admitted that she wanted monogamy with Kody, despite previously claiming to support polygamy fully. She expressed bitterness that the other wives had left, saying she felt tricked into the lifestyle. Her tone shifted from sorrowful to bitter. She admitted that she felt abandoned, not just by the wives but even by Kody's older children who didn't align with her narrative. One of the most glaring examples of Robyn revealing her true self came when she criticized the other wives for not trying hard enough to love each other. But fans quickly pointed out that Robyn rarely made the same effort herself. She didn't build strong bonds with Janelle or Christine. She mostly kept to herself and Kody. She wanted unity, but only if it happened on her terms. The mask of humility and victimhood finally slipped. What made this shift even more apparent was Robyn's own admission that she wanted Kody all to herself. That statement shocked fans who had long suspected that Robyn never really wanted to be in a plural marriage. Her jealousy, her protective behavior, and her tendency to isolate Kody all pointed to a deep desire for exclusivity. Once she voiced it publicly, it confirmed what viewers had suspected for years. Additionally, Robyn began to express resentment toward the older Brown children who spoke out about their father's favoritism. Rather than acknowledging their pain, she called them disrespectful, and said their opinions didn't matter because they didn't understand what Kody goes through. This lack of empathy starkly contrasted her earlier image as a nurturing, motherly figure who cared for all of Kody's kids. Fans also noticed that Robyn frequently spoke in absolutes. She was always the one sacrificing, always the one giving, always the one who remained loyal. But in doing so, she positioned herself as superior to the other wives. It became clear that she didn't just want to be Kody's partner. She wanted to be the only one who truly deserved him. The timing of her shift wasn't accidental either. With Christine and Janelle gone and Mary finally stepping away, Robyn no longer had to play the game of sisterhood. She no longer needed to maintain the illusion of unity. She had what she wanted, Kody to herself, and now felt free to speak honestly about her feelings. But instead of gaining sympathy, she exposed her long-hidden intentions. Her tears no longer held the same weight for viewers. What once seemed like heartbreak now felt more like manipulation. Her expressions of grief over the broken family felt hollow in light of her own actions and words. Even Kody's unwavering support for her began to look more like codependency than genuine affection. Robyn's true nature, it turns out, is one of control, possessiveness, and a deep need to be the sole emotional center of Kody's world. She hid behind a facade of meekness and martyrdom for years, but as the family disintegrated, so did her mask. Her comments, her behavior, and her priorities all now point to a woman who wanted monogamy from the start but used the structure of plural marriage to secure her place. What's most revealing is that Robyn doesn't seem to realize how much she has changed, or perhaps how much she has revealed. In her mind, she still sees herself as the wounded heart of the Brown family. But for fans, the veil has been lifted. Person Robyn always was has stepped fully into. Mary Brown's disconnect from the sister wives' family didn't begin when the marriages crumbled or when the public saw the breakdown unfold on television. It began years earlier, quietly, emotionally, and painfully. While the show spotlighted Kody Brown's shifting affections and the family's eventual unraveling, the roots of Mary's fallout stretch back to long before the family officially fractured. Mary was Kody's first wife. They married in 1990, years before any of the other wives came into the picture. At the time, their bond appeared strong. They shared an emotional connection and began building what they believed would be a successful polygamous household. When Janelle and Christine joined the family, Mary tried to adapt, though she later admitted the early years were filled with jealousy and competition. The first major crack came when Mary and Kody were legally divorced in 2014, so that he could legally marry Robyn and adopt her children from a previous marriage. Although this was framed as a legal decision made for the sake of the children, it devastated Mary emotionally. That single moment became a symbolic shift in her role in the family. She went from being the only legal wife to someone with a much more ambiguous position, and the emotional consequences were profound. Kody assured her at the time that their spiritual marriage was still intact, but the emotional distance between them became more and more obvious. Kody grew closer to Robyn, while Mary seemed increasingly isolated within the family structure. Fans watched her spend more time alone, go on trips by herself, and sit awkwardly during family discussions. She often looked disconnected, even when physically present. Then came the 2015 catfishing scandal. Mary became involved in an emotional relationship online, believing she was speaking with a man. Person turned out to be a woman who had deceived her. Though Mary eventually opened up about feeling lonely and neglected, Kody used the incident as evidence of her emotional betrayal. Rather than viewing the scandal as a cry for help, Kody and much of the family seemed to see it as Mary stepping outside the bounds of their beliefs. Catfishing incident became a turning point. Kody publicly stated that he no longer considered himself married to Mary and that he had no desire to fix the relationship. He said there was no romantic connection, and from that point forward, he treated their dynamic more like a distant friendship than a marriage. Mary, for her part, insisted she still hoped for reconciliation, but the effort was one-sided. Viewers repeatedly saw Mary trying to initiate conversations with Kody, express her emotional needs, and ask for clarity, only to be met with stonewalling or vague platitudes. The other wives didn't offer much support either. Though they were courteous on camera, it became apparent that Mary didn't have close relationships with Janelle, Christine, or Robyn. Her connection with Robyn, once thought to be strong, weakened over time. As Robyn became the central focus of Kody's attention, Mary seemed increasingly pushed to the margins. She would often talk about being on the outside looking in, and that wasn't just a feeling, it was the reality. Even as the family remained publicly united for the sake of the show and their belief system, Mary's emotional withdrawal continued. Her interactions with the rest of the family felt strained. She started focusing on her own ventures, including her bed and breakfast business, spending more time away from Flagstaff, and cultivating a sense of independence that wasn't encouraged in their traditional structure. By the time the family began to openly fracture in the later seasons, Mary's fallout had already run its course. She had long since stopped being part of the family unit in a meaningful way. When Christine left, and later Janelle, the focus turned to the breakdown of Kody's relationships with them, but Mary had emotionally checked out long before. She stayed physically connected to the family for longer than the others, but her presence was more symbolic than substantial. In interviews, Mary admitted to holding on to hope longer than she should have. She often said that she believed things could improve, that the family could return to its former strength. But she also acknowledged that her needs weren't being met, that she was being emotionally neglected, and that her place in the family had been uncertain for years. Kody, on the other hand, made it clear that he didn't see a path back with her and repeatedly blamed her for the emotional distance between them. Perhaps one of the most painful aspects of Mary's fallout was how publicly invisible it became. While her emotional pain was clear, few people within the family made efforts to understand her. The breakdown wasn't explosive, it was a slow fade. one where Mary drifted away emotionally, and no one reached out to pull her back in. Even after the show acknowledged the separations and Kody's statements about no longer being with multiple wives, Mary maintained a sense of loyalty to the principle of plural marriage. But loyalty without reciprocation becomes a burden, and Mary bore that burden for years. She tried to hold the family together from her side, even when it was already slipping away. Eventually, Mary stopped pretending. She began using her social media platforms to share cryptic messages about self-worth, boundaries, healing, and letting go. These weren't accidental. They were clear signals that she was moving on, even if it wasn't framed in an official divorce announcement. Her business ventures took off, her presence in family gatherings waned, and the smile she wore became less forced and more genuine. In the end, Mary's fallout wasn't about one incident. It wasn't about the legal divorce or the catfishing scandal alone. It was about years of emotional neglect, systemic favoritism, lack of communication, and spiritual abandonment. The rest of the world may have witnessed the family breakdown in recent seasons, but Mary's exit began long before, quietly,